Okay, in today's video I'm going to do a little bit of a preview over a few mods and a little bit of flight footage I did to my Latrax Alias. And what I did here actually was I took the Canopy, which is the top half of the Eachine E58, and you can order it by itself if you want, and actually cut it basically in half, and then I glued it on top of the Alias frame. And what's great is it fit basically perfectly. It covers up the circuit board like I wanted. And then I went around and I got rid of the battery tray and I used a rubber band to secure the battery to it. So I can fit bigger batteries where before you could only fit like the really skinny stock battery in it. And you can see I've got my FPV camera mounted to it. I ran the wire, I spliced it actually directly into the positive and negative battery leads on the circuit board. And then on the camera mount, I like to keep it simple, not add a lot of weight. All I did was I took basically I would call it like card paper, and I just cut out a little square to use as a mount, and then a narrow tab. The FPV camera is like hollow in the center, so I just had that tab and I put a little bit of a bead of hot glue on it, and then I just slid the camera over the top of that tab. So now it's basically at a pretty decent angle. It's not a really aggressive angle, but it'll work. The original Canopy doesn't have any really structural integrity. It really is just cosmetic, just for show. It has a screw in front and two in back holding it in. All you gotta do is pop those off, and then you can pretty much pick whatever canopy you want. It looked okay. I mean, it was functional. It was just, to me, just a bit typical for what you find on kind of like toy grade quads, and you know, it just, I don't know, I felt like I could improve on it a little bit. Like I said, it isn't bad looking. I just wanted to, for me personally, just wanted to clean it up a little bit and just, you know, get rid of the busy look of it, and I don't know, I just kind of like how it is. And as another option, you can order a the top and bottom of the Visuo XS809W canopy, and if you wanted, you'd have to chop it off and back a little bit, but maybe I would probably chop the arms off if I was going to do it, and you know, shorten it in back. But you could get kind of more of an overbite, like you could get more of the canopy out in front, and you know, kind of like more like the quad that it was originally designed to look like. I kind of like the front end of it kind of coming out up over the front of the quad. Kind of like, it has kind of a look, kind of reminds me of like an early Ford Mustang. But yeah, that's an option too. If you're interested in trying this mod out for yourself, you can go to banggood.com, and if you want to, you can order just the top half of the Eachine E58 canopy. It's really cheap. You might have to wait, I don't know, week and a half for it to show up, maybe 2 weeks, but the Visuo entire body is available too. Here again, under $5. You know, shipping week or two, not too bad. You know, just an option if you wanted to try it. I've learned over time, before you take a quad you've modded anywhere to fly it, you want to just do a real quick test flight first. And yep, it all appears to be working as it should. And here we go. Okay, so now for the fun part. Flying in my usual favorite park here, and I like the camera angle. I like having the props and motors in view. I like a little bit of the hood or canopy showing. It just works for me. There's a lot of videos people do where none of the quad is visible. It's just basically you floating around in the sky, and I really prefer to just see a little bit of the craft I'm flying. It kind of just makes me feel like I'm in it. Doing a little bit of proximity flying, not getting too crazy. I'm in acro mode here. This quad looks just like your typical toy brushed geared quad, but it's really not. It has much better range, and I'm going to talk about range here in a minute. But it has acro mode as well, and a lot of factory acro mode isn't. How do I put it? Not all factory acro modes on quads are tuned well. On this quad, it's perfect. I mean, they just nailed it. Plus, you can go into your transmitter and you can adjust. You can adjust it quite a bit as far as like your turn rate and pitch rate and whatnot. And I just cranked it all up to max because that's really the best way to fly. But if you're new, yeah, to have your rates down can help you just get better at flying and get acclimated to the feeling of not having the stability mode to keep you locked in. Now, this does have stability mode in rate 1 or in mode 1. Then mode 2 is what's basically sport mode. You get higher rates, but you got auto level still. And then mode 3 is going to be acro. And basically, all the chains are removed and there's no more restrictions. You can just do whatever you want. And once you get used to it, it's really the only way to fly. I mean, like maybe if I'm flying in a building and there's not much room for error, I'll put it in auto stabilize. But really, if I'm flying, I want to be in acro mode all the time now. And like you can do your own rolls. It's not like some pre-programmed deal. You do it all on the controller. It's easy to do. Like when I do a right roll, it's just full right stick over and it rolls, and you just let off once your roll's done. You can take really deep pitch angles. You can make up your own acro moves. I mean, you can basically defy gravity when you're in acro. That's why I love it. So let's see. I talked about range a little bit. So if you look out in front, there's, well, I just did a flip, but there's like that kind of gray wall I'm flying towards right now. That wall is a little over 100 yards away. And just because it kind of bugs me at times when people do these videos and they go, well, yeah, the range was, they just kind of eyeball it. But I'm going to go a little step further and I'm going to pull up Google Maps real quick and show you where I flew and how far I flew, because this quad really has good range. All right, this shows my overall flying area and a little bit of measuring I did. I took off. I was actually in the parking lot when I took off, and this is just basically a radius of the area I flew in. So easily 100 yards. Most toy quads, I only trust them to about, I don't know, maybe 50 yards. But I actually have a feeling this quad can do a good 150, maybe even 200 yards. All right, back to flying. So here's my general feeling about the Alias in general is this is not a good first quad, but a really good second quad. This is like once if you bought a toy quad, around anywhere between $20 and $50, it has altitude hold, it has the video and stuff like that. But you've gotten comfortable and you want to move up to FPV maybe even, or if you just want to learn a little bit of acro in a quad you feel like you can trust. Flight times on this are actually pretty good. Indoors, I've gotten 10-minute flight time out of a 800 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty good. Outdoors, it's usually going to be shorter because you're fighting a little bit of wind, and that does tend to take a little bit away. Plus, when you have plenty of room to fly to really cook and really crank around, you do tend to burn up batteries quicker. I have a 1200 milliamp hour battery. I've gotten probably nearly an 8-minute flight time. I wish I had measured it. I don't know why I didn't, but yeah, usually, but outside you're probably looking, I don't know, anywhere between a 6 and 8-minute flight time using the stock 650 milliamp hour battery. Like I said, I was using an 800 milliamp and a 1200 milliamp hour battery. So definitely it can carry a bigger battery over the stock battery, but you're not going to stay in the air for as long a time as, like, I don't know, the kind of cruiser quads, or the true aerial photography quads, like, you know, the 200 to 400 on up, you know, like the DJI Mavic and stuff. But if you want a quad that's just light, that's something else that I really like about Rush quads, is they're just light. You're not gonna, like, if you impact, at worst case, a person, odds are you're probably not gonna hurt them. I mean, or if just an object like a car or a window, or whatever, you're probably not gonna break it. You might put a scratch in it, maybe a dent, but because it's really light, you know, just that the potential for harm isn't as high. Plus, if you crash, it doesn't have as much inertia carrying it, and it's not as likely to have, you know, major breakage going on if you do crash. I definitely recommend flying over grass though. But yeah, it's just a really fun quad. It's something, the kind of quad you can take out on your lunch break, whatever, and you know, weather permitting. But yeah, I took it up a little bit high here. I usually don't fly very high. I like to actually keep it pretty low, but it's just a really, really good all-around quad. So that's all I got for today, and thanks for watching my video. I'll have more coming up.